Abuse of alcohol can really start at any age, but today's guest is going to talk about her lifelong experience. Vanessa Johnson has experienced drug abuse, alcohol abuse, but she's here today to tell us about it, how to deal with it, and how to be happy every day. Welcome, Vanessa.
Thank you, Lee. So good to be here.
I am so excited to have you because this is such a serious topic, but it's one that I think you bring such hope to.
I hope so. I do hope so.
Awesome. Well, thank you for being here. I'm going to jump right in. So what do you consider yourself now? Are you a recovering alcoholic?
Recovering is probably the best word I would use. Recovering, because every day I get up, it's present tense. Every day I get up, I make a decision. Stay away from the first drink or drug, suit up, show up, do the next right thing every day. And I know what that feels like now. I go to bed at night with something I never found in a bottle. It's integrity, some sense of freedom. It's a cozy conscience. It's like, I looked for that in a bottle all the time. Now I have a nice little formula. So recovering, every day I do that, right? And the other word you use is alcoholic, right? So, some people have different definitions. Some of it's controversial, whatever, right? But I think for me, my measuring stick to determine if I was an alcoholic or not, something resonated with me, which was in one of our textbooks, and it says, when I controlled my drinking, I couldn't enjoy it. When I enjoyed my drinking, I couldn't control it. And that resonated with me. That sticks with me. That is me, defined to a T. But some other people, like if people really need a deep down definition that's from a doctor, right? It says that basically when I put a substance in my body, mind-altering substance in my body, it sets off a phenomena of craving that's bigger than me. It's bigger than you. It's bigger than my desire to not do that anymore. It's bigger than my will to live. It's bigger than my relationships. It's just bigger. I'm unable to stop myself from taking the second drink. In fact, we have a little thing that we say, and when I say we, I mean, and we'll get into it, of a program that I'm in. I'm in a 12-step program, and you think staying away from the first drink is hard. Try staying away from the second one. That's the one I'm not able to stay away from. But the first one today, because of where I am now in my life and what I've done, I can stay away from the first one. Thank God.
And that's what when you're an alcoholic, that's really what you need to do, is you can never have even the first one.
For me, absolutely, right. And people would say, one drink is too many. You'll get drunk off the first drink. And I'd be like, oh my God, what are they talking about? They can't be talking about that. Lightweights. But come to find out, try to get drunk without it, right? Yeah, I heard another woman say, stop thinking of drink, think drunk, because that's what it was for me. I wouldn't be thinking of a drink. I was just thinking of an outright drunk.
You were just looking to get drunk, to be drunk.
I had a job. My drinking had a job. It had a purpose the minute it started.
Wow. So when did you have your first drink?
Well, I'll tell you, my first drink wasn't necessarily the first problem that led to my full addiction.
All right, so better question.
Yes.
Then. When did your problem start?
So at the ripe old age of 11, I was introduced to marijuana. And I was at a bus stop, right? What better place? Where else do you go when you're 11? And I had just moved from New York to Connecticut, and one of the neighborhood girls, her older brothers, probably in retrospect were marijuana dealers, probably. But how cool would it be to get these 11-year-old girls who are friends high? And I'll tell you, while I might not remember what it made me feel like, I do remember knowing that I needed to do it again. I couldn't wait to do it again.
So immediately, was the first time you smoked?
Immediate. I just knew, I don't know if I liked it or I didn't like it. I don't know. I just know I can't wait to get off the bus now, back home, well, not home, but at the bus stop, and have it again. Hopefully it's more there. And it got to the point, honestly, where if I wasn't going to meet up with my friend and I wasn't going to have it, I was so desperate for it or anything like it that I would go around in my yard and I would find brown leaves and crush them up and roll them up and smoke it. just because I thought that that was going to give me the relief that I had found when I first had it. I just needed to continue doing it. I didn't know any other way.
Right.
It just affected me that much. It was incredible. I'm even shocked today to hear myself say it, and I say it all the time, but yeah, I was that person out in the yard crushing
Searching
anything.
Yeah. Now, and 11 years old, so you were in like 5th grade or something. I mean,
That's about when I moved. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
I know.
I'm dumbfounded. I'm going,
know.
oh my God.
I
All right.
know.
So you started with marijuana,
Yeah.
and then
That didn't last too long.
okay. So like, how did it progress?
yeah,
What happened?
so-
Where'd you go from there?
So it didn't really have to get any worse for me because it was immediate desperation, right? I just needed more, and so weirdly, and thankfully, my brain wasn't fully developed yet to know the differences between right and wrong. But my sister introduced me to soccer, so I got a soccer ball, and then my focus became on that. So I wasn't necessarily smoking marijuana anymore. In fact, I don't think I was anymore at all. Now I was smoking cigarettes, but I was playing soccer, and everything was soccer. So, but in the back of my head, I knew something was still missing, right? And so it leads me to my first real drink.
Okay.
Right. I got invited by a college guy. He was on a college baseball team. I was 16. He brought me to, and this probably isn't my first drink, but it certainly was my first.
Your first memorable drink.
Yes.
Yeah.
And he brought me to a college bar. It looked like a cafeteria. And we sat down. We were with all the college friends. I'm 16, right? He got me in. There's pitchers of beer. And I remember putting the beer to my lips and drinking it. And my first thought isn't, oh, this tastes great, or this feels so good going down. No, my first thought was, holy smokes, there's not going to be enough of this stuff. It's going to end. Like, almost like a panic already set in, like, is this going to end? This can never end. And so it's like that desperate, now I found, this is what I've been looking for, here it is. And I don't know why, but that's what it did for me. And it never got prettier after that. I drank to excess. I didn't want to stop. I was afraid to stop. I didn't want it to end. I was in the bathroom on my hands and knees with college girls holding my hair back, throwing up, and I couldn't wait
To drink more.
to get back over there and drink more. And I was terrified of the moment that I'd go home and there wouldn't be any at home. That's what it did to me immediately.
Right.
It brought me right back to that place.
And then how did it progress from there? So now you're in college age.
Yeah, well, high school, I continued
school, right.
that, but then certainly college, off the rails drinking in college. In fact, my first school, because I'm a runner too, right? So I don't know how to sit through uncomfortable feelings, at least I didn't. Mm-hmm. I didn't know how to sit through uncomfortable moments. And which, also had provided my alcoholism just a wonderful opportunity to jump in. And so when I got uncomfortable someplace, I would move, right? Get that geographical cure, go somewhere else. Nobody knows me over here. So my first school was in Pennsylvania. Did a lot of, college drinking there on the campus, et cetera. My second school, when I was leaving Pennsylvania, I said, I'm going to be very intelligent about how I pick my next school. There was one state left that had the drinking age of 18 still in the country,
Oh my
and
God.
it was Vermont.
So you chose your school by where you could drink.
And not
most
have
easily.
to, yes.
Wow.
So I went to Vermont, and I went to school there, and sure enough, nothing could interfere with my drinking at that point. And again,
So at what point did it, I guess it is taking over at this point. At what point were you no longer functional? Like, when did you start to crash? Because I know at one point you said you've been arrested, right? So glad you can laugh now, right?
Totally laugh. And anybody out there that might be watching this that has had similar experiences, hopefully
Right.
can laugh a little bit as well.
Because you can look back and laugh, right?
Yes. Yes.
So, so when was it out of control? It was already out of control, but when was it taking over your life that you were no longer functional? You were no longer in school or weren't able to hold a job?
Well, I was always functional, I was always that functioning alcoholic.
Okay.
I got great grades.
And maybe many alcoholics are functioning
Many
alcoholics,
alcoholics
right?
are functional. Yeah, I got great grades. Even
But you went to class drunk and went to
oh
test
yeah,
drunk.
if I went to class at all,
Right.
Sure. I was blessed to have enough of a brain where I actually and I was playing soccer in college
Right.
as well, so I was entertained enough to. Yeah, but that was a whole nother thing, being in college and just taking schnapps on the sideline while, it's halftime or whatever. Like, it was a part of my day. It had to be. So when did it go off the rails?
Yeah, when did you finally realize there's a problem here? Or maybe you knew all along. Did you?
In retrospect?
No, when you were there. Let's start with when you were there.
Spot.
Did you see an issue, or was the only issue getting another drink?
The only issue was ever, how am I going to get another drink? I guess I just accepted the fact that this was a hopeless thing for me. And I truly had always felt that way. I mean, well, the first thing I want to mention is, I woke up every morning wanting to die. From the beginning of what I can remember of my life until maybe a year actually into a 12-step program, a year away from booze.
So you wanted to die. You were suicidal.
Yes. It was so hard to be me. I can't even believe I'm here today, actually. It's amazing that I'm here today, but even back then, things as a kid, just not really knowing that was what was going on, having insomnia, and not the way that people talk and throw that word around, but I was 13 and I had insomnia, and I would sit in that bedroom. It was so bad that it was just about dinner time and it was starting to get dark out, and I would start shaking and I'd almost want to throw up already, because I knew once again night was coming and I was going to be the only kid or any person up, not able to sleep because I wasn't worth sleep. See, that was my thing. I never felt worthy of any of it. And that no matter what I was going to do and accomplish that day, whether it was going to score a goal or get a write-up in the newspaper or be the best to, get valedictorian, whatever it was.
It's not good enough.
No, I mean, you guys validated my existence for a long time. I had to be the best at everything. And okay, I did this, so I must be okay to live today. But then the next day was a challenge. I don't want to live today, so what am I going to do so that somebody lets me know that I actually deserve to live another day?
All right. And did you try to kill yourself? Have you
Yes,
tried to commit suicide?
yes. It was always, 90% of the time it was on my mind, wanting to do that. And then finally having the opportunity to do it. Anybody that's ever been there knows, and sometimes you see it on TV, that there's a little relief in my story. There was relief when I smashed a beer bottle and put it to my wrists. And then when I smashed that beer bottle and I looked at it and I thought, oh my God, I never have to feel it this way again.
Oh my God.
I like a weird smile came over me, and I just felt so like, thank God I finally made a decision. I don't have to do this anymore. Because my whole life I felt like there was this black artery of tar in me, that no matter how I tried to do something better and the best, I was always going to have that black tar. So what's the point? I think that's probably a definition of hopeless right there. I was hopeless. I was hopeless.
And then how did you finally turn the corner? Was it you? Was it somebody else? What did you do?
Yeah, so I got to a point where, there's that precipice. And do I want to live, or do I want to die a horrible alcoholic death, right? And only an alcoholic, right? Maybe other people out there, but really an alcoholic is the one that's like, find a spiritual answer and be happy, joyous, and free, or, die a miserable alcoholic death. Well, I wrestled with that a lot, and I always kept choosing this one. And my last drink, I will tell you about my last drink, which kind of leads right into this.
Yeah, so,
yes.
I mean, there's the question, right? Is that, well, for you,
right.
The turning point was your last drink versus multiple tries or whatnot.
Oh,
right?
yeah. I could stop 1,000 times. I just couldn't stay stopped. But yes. So my last drink was, to date anyway, was my parents were suspect I was going to kill myself. They just knew it. So they made a phone call to a pastor in Connecticut. And they were living in Maine at the time. And so the pastor happened to call me. And I was already thinking, my parents were right. I was going to do myself in that night. I had all these great plans because I'm so dramatic when I'm under the influence.
So, I'm sorry, you were actually planning suicide. You had
this is it. I'm done. I'm so done. I threw the towel in. I'm done.
Right.
If there is a God, then, he or she or what should be so proud that I made it this far. I did it for you. I did it for somebody else. I didn't do it for me because I didn't want to be there. So, she called me, and I was like, perfect timing. And she was like, why? And I said, I'd love to meet you. So she said, oh, that's wonderful. And so I told her to meet me at a bar. That's where I would meet her. So we went, and she went to a bar. She agreed. And I went, and I had a vodka in one hand, and I had a razor in the other, because I was going to do my wrists again. And she told me to choose life. Now, I don't know what exactly she said. If I could bottle that up and sell it, I'd be a bazillionaire. But something happened, and I don't remember probably that evening or the 3 days after. But I know when I did come out of my fog, I hadn't killed myself. I was around family. My family had come, and I hadn't picked up a drink in those 3 days. And this woman told me to choose life, and for whatever reason, I heard that for the first time. Everybody's been telling me that, but it was her telling me that, not because she was a pastor, but because she's had a lot of experience with drunks, and she must have known that that was what I needed to hear. I don't know. But that started my journey. And for the first year, I wasn't happy, Right. I lived a formula.
Did you go into a rehab? So just tell me I've only seen it on TV, right? What is it like to take that first step and check in and go?
Surrender, it's called.
Okay, surrender.
That's surrender.
Right. Well, I can't imagine.
Yeah.
So you surrender everything, I guess. You're completely under another control. What is that like?
Surrender. Again, in retrospect, flippin' amazing to not have that weight of your world and just to let other people take care of you until you're able to take care of yourself. It gave myself full permission to just and flop backwards and just let them tend to me, because that's what I needed, right? And so rehab for me was learning how to make a bed. Rehab for me was learning how to eat, and even that I couldn't get right. I was sent down, and the rehab that I went to was strictly a rehab that was based on a 12-step program. There were no doctors there at the time, so they would put you in a van and ship you off to town to see a doctor, and I must have made that trip a lot because I was trying to regulate my eating, and I could never get it right. I'd eat too much and get sick, or I wasn't eating at all, so that took a long time.
So again, I'm sorry, I'm just trying to, because it's so hard for me to imagine that when you're that caught up in alcohol, it affects everything, it sounds like.
Your basic needs, again, making a bed, learning how to eat. I did not learn how to sleep there, because but I learned how to go to bed when they told me to, right?
Okay.
And I tried.
And you mentioned the 12-step program. This is a 12-step program. What is the first step of a 12-step program?
That surrender, that piece of surrender. Because unless I do that, nothing's getting inside here.
And is surrender so it's allowing other people to help you?
Yeah,
okay.
Definitely. Yes, because anybody that's been in my shoes, anybody that's had any sort of problem with alcohol knows that no matter how many people try to do it for you, it's just you. It really just comes down to you to make the decision, right? To want it.
Right. And then to work through these 12 steps, you surrender.
Surrender's definitely that first one.
First one.
To admit it. Yeah, to admit it.
Okay. And I wish we could go through all 12, but we don't have that time. But can you just mention a couple other steps that were maybe especially vital to you?
Well, to really sum up the 12 steps, it was perfectly put for me, so you don't have to look at every single one. The first 3, you give it up, right? You just give it up, you surrender. And then the middle 3, or 4, actually, probably, are clean it up. Now I got to clean me. I got to clean it up. So I'm giving it up, then I can start cleaning it up. And then the last is I keep it up.
Okay.
I keep it up. So that's pretty much the process. The cleaning up was, for me, the most important because the person that I bring in to these 12-step to this 12-step program needed to change. Needed to change, or I was going to go back out and drink again. It wasn't that I would want to, it would be that I would need to. Because to me, that was my answer for everything, you know? And so my first year, I had to, I had learned to eat, I had to learn to sleep, I had to learn to suit up, and I had to learn to show up, and that was it. Now that's me. You know, some people were able to start this 12-step work and go back to family life, you know, sometimes quicker, sometimes slower. For me, I needed almost a full year to learn how to be human again and be a participant in society.
And you said you weren't happy during this time. Were you
No.
still suicidal? Or
No,
were you just
I might have
over
been.
it?
I might have
Okay.
been. But the difference, Lee, is that now I listen when people told me I was worth it. I finally found my tribe, so to speak. Like, these are people that told me I was worth it. And I was like, I never, you know, maybe I was told that before, but I never believed it before. But I believed that they believed it. And I saw that they did it, you know, and I heard their stories and I was like, oh my God, you know, like I did have a therapist telling me I was an alcoholic way before. I had partners that would tell me, the lawmen would tell me, right? Whatever it is, but, and another great saying or funny quirk that I like to talk about quite a bit is it doesn't matter what introduces you to a 12-step program. It's usually your liver, your lover, your livelihood, or the law. It's one of those four things that just at least gets you into a room. And then at that point, it's just everybody else's job to plant the seed.
And your tribe, were your tribe these were other people who've been to the same place?
Anybody that's had a problem with alcohol and couldn't understand why they couldn't stop on their own.
Did anyone try to drag you back down? Was there anybody who said, because I've heard that, again, on TV, right?
Right.
Like drug addicts, they'll go, I'll get you something and that'll make you better.
Right. Oh, sure. I mean, and there's a lot of people that'll do that for sure. And they don't know any better, you know, because they're not there either. You know, if I can say one of the things that I learned from the beginning that was just tremendous, and hopefully this helps anybody else, was, you know, I sat in a lot of 12-step meetings, and I would hear a lot of people say things like, oh, it gets better, keep coming, it gets better, and I would hear this. And after a year, I'm like, it ain't getting better. You know, I wasn't feeling much better. Yes, I was sleeping and eating and suiting up and showing up, but when am I going to start to feel better? I was doing better, but when am I going to start to feel better? And so I started questioning, maybe this isn't for me, because I was going to meetings a lot. I was talking to people a lot. You told me to stand on my head and do the Greek alphabet backwards. I did that if you told me I was going to stay sober for that day. And I did all of those things. So I was doing the next right thing. And so I raised my hand once and I said, you know, it's not getting better for me. And so maybe this isn't for me. Maybe this isn't the answer. An old timer slammed his fist on the table. I'll never forget it because it changed my life. And he said, stop telling this girl it gets better. The point of all of this is for her to get better. And that changed. That was a game-changing moment for me. I was waiting for it to get better. The whole point is for me to get better so that it doesn't hurt so bad anymore, right? And so little things I can do to build this, that's how it works for me today, you know? So life, everybody's got life, right? Everybody has deaths and births, and everybody, you know, some people lose jobs, some people have whatever moments there may be that bring people down. That's going to happen, right? How do I want to be when that happens? You know, I try to live a life where I build myself every day. I heal that in part of me that maybe wanted to drink in the past, right? I heal that worthlessness part of me every day so that when these things happen, they're not going to kill me. You know?
It's just a bump in the road and you keep going.
It's not going to kill me. I could stay in the problem. I could sit and ask why, which to me is just a stalling technique to doing the next right thing. You know, why? Why is this happening to me? Why is this happening? Who cares? what now? What are you going to do about it to feel better about yourself? If you want to feel better. If you don't want to, you can ask why all day long. You know, that's okay too. But I don't want to do that.
And just so now you're happy every day.
Oh my God.
We just need to jump on that. First of all, so we got to wrap this up, believe it or not. Time is running. Where do you work now? Because I found that such a surprise.
Yes.
And why is it great? And why are you happy every day?
All right. So I'm an assistant manager at Walmart, and I love it. I love it. I love the people that I work with. Why? Because I love who I am today, and I try to contribute. And I go in to Walmart, which other people might have an adverse reaction to. I get it. I might have been one of those. I don't think of it as
sexy, right?
I get it. But I am so okay with it. I am so proud of it. I love going to work every day. Why? Because...
Do you make a difference there?
I like to think that I do. I'm not looking to make a difference for Walmart. I'm looking to make a difference of my surroundings, where I am. I want to bring this energy, what I've learned, and I want to grow with that with people. I want people to experience that kind of recharge that says we can live in the solution and have an amazing day no matter what the circumstances are, no matter where you are, no matter what customer you have in front of you.
All right, so I love that one quote you just said, I like to live in the solution. Is that your secret? What is your secret? How do you wake up happy every day or go to bed?
So you don't, right? I mean, I'm not perfect, trust me, I'm human. I just know that human feelings won't kill me anymore, so I can sit through those now. But I have choices throughout the day for sure, just like everybody else, you know? And and I choose to live in the solution because it keeps me heading in the right direction. How simple is that? I just want to head in the right direction. Because if I head in that direction, I'm going to get there, right? If I head in this direction, I'm going to get there too. So which one do I want to head today? You know, which one do I want to feed? I want to feed the one that's going to take me, so I know what the alternative is when I go a different direction. I want to feel what I'm feeling now. Yeah.
And what's next for you?
I'm having lunch after this. That's about as far as I go in my head. I've got, I just keep living the solution and what I've learned over the years. I don't have any major plans. I wake up in the morning and I say, yes, where do you need me today? I'll be there. I'll do it. Being able to come here and have a platform to I don't want to sound hokey. I just want to sound hopeful and that anybody can do this. If anybody's out there struggling, thinking this is too hard, this is impossible, I got news for you. Yeah, it's going to be uncomfortable and it's going to be inconvenient, but it's not impossible. Come on. It's uncomfortable for sure, but I'm not going to let anybody think that they can't do it just for one day, because they can.
And it's one day at a time.
That's it.
Well, thank you so much for coming. I wish I had another hour that we
too.
could talk about this. We'll have to have you back again.
Wonderful.
But it was an absolute pleasure. Thank you, and thank you for helping viewers. I hope that someone watches this and can turn that corner.
Me too. Wouldn't that be something?
Thanks.